Today on Brilliance Business TV, we have James Peters. James is a transformational mindset coach and Shetty certified coach. James has been on one heck of a journey, and his speciality is working with and helping to motivate adversity survivors so they can rediscover their true self. Stay tuned. Welcome to Brilliance Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. I am your host, Mark Stephen Pooler. We have a wonderful guest today, James Peters. Now, I know the power of mindset, whatever it is you would like to achieve, be it health, wealth, happiness, success, it all starts with mindset. So I'm really looking forward to a conversation with James today. I just want to make an official shout out to our show sponsors, Dreamweaver Artist Ranch. We are streaming live on mspnewsglobal.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and we're also streaming through the E360 TV network under Fresh Takes, going out to Apple TV, Fire TV, Android TV, Roku, and many more. And we're also on Business Innovators Radio Network. So let's bring in our incredible guest, James Peters. James, welcome to Brilliance Business TV. It's great to have you here.
No, thank you for having me. I'm excited. What an introduction. So I'm looking forward to our conversation and seeing where it all goes.
So you serve your clients with mindset, and I know you have your own story to tell, James. So just take us back a little bit about your background and past, and a little bit of your story that has led you to where you are today.
Yeah, no, 100%, Mark, and obviously give you a little bit more insights into how I've got to where I am today. So because I'm ultimately a very, very different person, doing very many different things which I was doing 4 years ago. What I now call these events in life when we go through difficulties, I call them what I kind of graduation events where they really change us at the core, and we have an opportunity then to really go and look at different paths in our lives and how we can take that forward. And mine happened in 2017. I lost my dad and I lost my son, and then I was accused of a crime I hadn't committed, which ultimately would have led to at least a 20-year sort of jail sentence if I had been convicted. I went through that particular process, got to the end, got a not guilty verdict about 8 or 9 months after, probably in the middle of sort of 2018. But there was obviously a journey in that 8 months from being, obviously through dealing with grief, dealing with loss, dealing with suicidal thoughts, dealing with a lot of anxiety and depression as well at those particular stages, obviously spending some time in jail as well. So a lot of challenges in that period of time. But really from 2018 was really when I had that, that change to say, what am I going to do next? My life had completely changed. And through that was really when I started to evolve myself and look at ways of which I could take my story of what happened to me and really sort of impact the world or impact others going forward. and that's kind of led me now to where I am, obviously, 2 or 3 years down the line, being a Shetty coach. But I'm obviously happy to, go into further details, but that's just a little bit of my, my backstory.
It's a great story, James, and what strikes out to me, it's not actually that long ago, 4 years ago. So that's just a testament to people out there that within a 4-year period, you can transform your whole life, because you have managed to get out of all of those dark moments and really transform yourself. But you're transforming other people now as well, and serving others, which is really, really incredible. I can imagine it was a lot to go through, very stressful times. How did you get through your dark moments, James?
Well, yeah, it was very difficult at the very beginning. I had what I would now classify as a tool set. I hadn't picked up a self-development book, prior to 2017. I wasn't listening to any sort of YouTube channels or anything around motivation or positivity or anything. It was completely alienated to me. I just didn't have that on my radar. So when I went through my challenges, I had literally no tool set to rely on. And in the darkest times, really at the very, very darkest times, when I went through a stage of being kind of addicted to, painkillers and sleeping pills, and really, it got to a point when I really didn't want to be here. And I think actually, I was mentioning this on a week ago to some other people, that it was really my dog, which I've still got today. Really, and looking at his face and realizing that I had a responsibility to look after him, which actually probably made me not want to take my own life. And it was that catalyst, really. Then I phoned the Samaritans, and then I actually got help. But probably the first thing which really helped me was, was kind of meditation, and really started to follow that particular path. But in the real darkest times, I really, once I had that breakthrough of knowing that I had a responsibility, it kind of really started to forge a route for myself to think, what do I need to do to try to better myself, or try to get feel better about myself. And the first thing was ultimately getting some assistance from the Samaritans, which obviously a mental health charity here in the UK, and then through to finding a counsellor who could really help me, who had a strong background in Buddhism, so that really helped. And then, but meditation was really the first tool I got, which really helped me to just really calm my thoughts. And I was only doing 10 minutes a day, but just that 10 minutes just able for me to just calm my mind, less of the anxiety and less of the stress. I could just breathe a little bit better. I wasn't kind of reacting to the thoughts I was having so much. And then that obviously then led me to obviously breath work, which I was doing as well. So these were probably the first real two things. But I think ultimately it was actually seeking help, which I think is probably the most challenging thing for anyone to do. For me personally, I was actually a really private person. So for me, actually reaching out to anyone was a real challenge. But that I think really helped, especially someone who was not involved. It wasn't another family member. It wasn't a friend. It was someone who was completely neutral, who just gave me a platform to just be able to speak and listen without non-judgment and no advice. It was just, a real sort of environment which I could share what I was going through, but there wasn't any advice to give me. Really helped.
I think anyone who has a dog will totally relate to that. They are so loving. I love my dog. I've had her now for 11 years, and they do become your life and family and your world. And also, I'm very big on meditation as well, James. I use gratitude, visualization, meditation. I myself am an ex-drug addict. I collapsed and died from drug use. And
Right.
I think sometimes when you go through hard times, they do propel you into a better future. Like you have used it to do good with your life and to go out and serve others. Now, you mentioned the support you got from the Samaritans and mental health charities. Some people are scared to reach out for help, and some people suffer alone. I always say never suffer alone. What was your experience like when you first reached out and asked for help, James?
I mean, it kind of was a bit of a light bulb moment because I hadn't reached out before. I was, let's say, very sort of private person. It was a difficult time within my family with what we were going through, and obviously what myself going through sort of a criminal court or criminal case. And we didn't really want to ultimately, I think, as a family who were around, why wanted to sort of talk about it. We'd obviously just lost a dad and obviously a grandson as well. So obviously it was really difficult. So for me, it was that real point where I got to pretty much, I would say, the lowest I'd got to, where I was committed, to not being here, and just looking at my dog's face and his eyes and realizing that he knew what you sometimes there's a sixth sense there, isn't it, with a pet? They're looking at you, and they kind of know what you're thinking and what you're going to do. And he
Definitely.
kind of just was looking at, and that connection with the eyes just made me want to think, actually, I've got that responsibility, as I've mentioned. But then phoning someone, it was just someone who didn't know me, didn't know the background, didn't know my story, didn't know what I was going through, but I could just speak. But there was no, they just listened, right? In this day and age, I think actually giving someone just a platform just to listen to someone, but actually really listen, not listen to respond or listen to form a judgment or anything like that, which it does happen a lot. Just someone who just provided a platform for you to just share, be open, just listen to you, not give advice, really helps, because then it's out, the thoughts you have are out of your head and you're speaking to someone else. And when you do that, it's easier to process. That's why journaling, I think, is another really good tool to have, because again, it takes your thoughts out of your head onto paper. And actually, when you actually look at your thoughts or what you're going through, you can actually really look at them in a lot more of an objective perspective. Yes. But yeah, I think it was just really listening, just that platform for someone who could just listen to myself and just give me that space, which I had never had before.
So anyone out there that may be struggling at the moment, James, what advice would you give them on reaching out to people? Because so many people don't want to ask for help.
I would always say, really, it's one of the things which obviously is pushed a lot, and I know it's very difficult, but I will always reach out, and I'd always reach out to someone, who is not involved with yourself. I always think it's more difficult with family or friends, because they're kind of, they have a sort of
an opinion.
Exactly. It's an opinion. They mean well. They want to help, but with that, it can sort of, it's more kind of like an advice type thing. Or sometimes they might just say, well, just get on with it or get through it, or something really kind of unhelpful advice. Whereas actually reach out to someone who's just a complete bystander, especially within a charity. They're specialists, they're trained, and I've been through sort of kind of that sort of mental health as a first aider now, so I kind of have that skill to a certain extent. So I always welcome for people to reach out to myself if they ever want to chat or anything like that, because it is so important to reach out to someone who can just provide you with a platform just for you to share, without, as I say, without sort of non-judgment or any advice.
Never suffer alone. I will connect you with my close friend, Lady Kendall Jagger, actually. She has a great radio show, and I'll see if she would like you to go on as a guest. It's for women's mental health, but they do men's as well. It's to an audience of 5 million. I've been a guest on there a couple of times, but I think she will love your story. So I will connect you with her, James. James,
Awesome.
we're just going to a quick commercial break, so please stay where you are. Thank you for joining us for part 1 of Brilliance Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. Join us after the commercial break.
Hello, this is Stephen Buckner, and just wanted to tell you I support the Dreamweaver project. It's a great project where, you know, artists such as myself will be able to come together and basically collaborate and to have a retreat to feel accepted and welcome. And that's something that artists here and around the world could always benefit from. So I just want to say, please support the Dreamweaver project. I think it's for a great cause, and I salute all the independent artists out there and artists that are signed as well. And have a wonderful day.
Welcome back to Brilliance Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. We're joined today with the incredible James Peters. He shared his personal journey, he shared his dark moments, and he shared how reaching out for help is always the answer. Welcome back, James.
Welcome. No, thank you, Mark. I enjoyed the first bit. So yeah, looking forward to the second.
Yes, no, you're a Shetty certified coach. He's such a big name. He has built such a great name for himself, and he puts out great content. How did you get involved in that, James? Tell us all about that.
Yeah, it was such a journey. So as I kind of mentioned in the first part, you know, once I started on that self-development, personal development type journey, then things start to just snowball. And I first got into like Les Brown and Esther Hicks. I was big into meditation.
I love Esther Hicks.
Yeah, I loved all that. And Wells then started picking up books like Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, and Michael Singer's books. I really enjoyed The Surrender Experiment, The Untethered Soul, and just really started, you know, really just I'd never picked up a book like this before, and suddenly I was now hooked in just continuing to better myself. And naturally, obviously, coming off YouTube, I always came across, you know, Jay and kind of the YouTube videos he was putting out there, or podcasts he was being, you know, interviewed on, and then obviously with that, I got into On Purpose, you know, his first, you know, obviously his podcast, and started listening to that, and then just was fascinated by him about how taking that kind of monk type mindset and bringing it into modern day living. And obviously he released a book last year as well about around that. So Think Like a Monk. So he came on my radar. And then I had at that particular time as well, I had a coach in the beginning of 2020. I had a coach, life coach. And what he was kind of really sort of working with me to really understand what the next steps were for me as a person. And at that time, I was still pretty introverted. I was still struggling. I had broken through a lot of barriers, but I was still, you know, I was still struggling in life in general. And he said, look, you've got a fascinating story. You can help a lot of other people. You know, you should, you know, think about, you know, coaching or writing a book or putting a course out there and all this type of stuff. And I kind of took it away and was thinking about it because it was so kind of alien to what I was as a person before, or what I would have ever done before. But it was like one of those things. Suddenly on Facebook, you know, that ad popped up, and it was Jay, and he just launched his school, his certification school. I think it was around about March last year, and I got involved around April, May. So I was probably one of the first, maybe 50 people, maybe less than that. And yeah, I just loved it. I just loved the whole process of the coach. I mean, he does all the videos. It took me 12 months to get through the course. I think at best you could probably get through in about 6 months, but it's really intense. There's a lot of modules to go through, which he does. There's a lot of homework and reflective work to do, which you all have to monitor and assess. And you have to go, there's obviously calls, weekly calls, and you have to be on those because you submit documentation to pass your certification. You also have to always set up your own life coaching business as well. And you have to coach people and obviously show that through as you have an assessor to go through that with you. That's usually like a 3 or 4 month type of process as well. So it is hugely rigorous to get to. And yeah, I got my certification in June of this year.
Congratulations.
Awesome. And yeah, and then obviously I've sort of, continued to evolve it. I've taken it. Obviously, you can go many different ways with the coaching curriculum of Jay. You can be a spiritual coach like him. You could be a life coach. You could be a career coach. You could be a relationship coach. I mean, you can take it any way you wanted. But for me, it was always about mindset and transformational mindset and really taking people from negative emotions, negative feelings, negative thought patterns, and really looking at breaking those and building a kind of a more positive future.
Congratulations. And like you mentioned, personal development, it's a lifelong journey. It never gets done. It's just ongoing. But you really put in the discipline, in the hard work, because nothing is ever given to us. We have to put in the graft, James, and you have certainly done that. Now, we talked a little bit about grief. I know you had to cope with lots of grief. What was your grief recovery process, James?
Grief was it went in 2 different sections, I would say, for myself, in the fact that going through what I had gone through, loss of a dad and a son, but then being accused of something I hadn't done, the whole grief process kind of went out the window a little bit because I had other things that had that thing to focus on, ultimately to, realistically, save my own life. Because as I say, if it had gone wrong for me, and it goes wrong for many people, there was a 20 years of, jail sentence there. So really that first part, it kind of, the grief didn't maybe come till later. But for me, really what it worked for myself was actually writing letters. I think I really started working with a counsellor, and she just really helped me to say, obviously your son's not around and your dad's not around anymore, and really start to write letters to them and actually just sort of talk like you're talking to them. And I used to go and meet her every couple of weeks, and I'd go and actually read the letters to her which I'd written. And I don't know how many letters I wrote, probably 3 or 4 for both at that particular time. Obviously there was darker moments as I went through, there was tired of suicidal and depression, anxiety and all those type, and that kind of really locked into grief as well. But I really felt, or really found, with working with someone and actually writing letters, for me personally was probably very therapeutic in getting over what I have done. And today I feel a very different person. I've built a whole new identity, which really means that I don't resonate so much with the person from before. But there was always things will pop up and I'll think, oh, I thought I maybe dealt with that, and I hadn't dealt with that before, because naturally, things always, come to mind. So it's always, it's a continue. I think as someone always said to me, healing is not an overnight process; it's an over time process. And I think that's right. I think you just go through different stages where you cope with it better than more. But I think for me at that time, and really the darkest times, was writing letters.
And it's important you share your story, James, because it can help so many people. There's a lot of stigma when it comes to getting counselling. People don't want to admit that they need support, and they're maybe embarrassed or ashamed of the thought of having counselling. But like you've mentioned, it helped really to support you, and just a simple process of putting your feelings down on paper and writing that out, little things like that can really help you to move forward. So always share your story. It may even just help one person, and it could go on to help millions of people. And it's really important that you keep on sharing that incredible story. How do you cope now with negative emotions, negative feelings, negative beliefs?
I mean, or naturally it happens. It happens. We're human. We're not designed to be happy or all the time. But for myself now, I've built up a tool set, and so with that, it helps me a lot more if when like sort of feelings come up, which I would feel as more negative. I mean, I always start my day by trying to get myself. I got this actually from reading the book Power versus Force by David Hawkins, which is really about the map of consciousness and actually where you are, on there. But for me, I try to get myself to a stage of sort of love as quickly as I possibly can when I wake up in the morning. And that's about sort of going outside into my garden, connecting to nature, journaling, meditating, reading. So when I'm already starting and an exercise as well is the staple of what I do. But so I have these daily rituals now. So negative feelings and thoughts don't come up as often as maybe they did previously. But if they do come up, I have a tool set around, meditation, and journaling, and really sitting with those feelings. I'm big about feel your feelings. I don't think we do that as much as people. We try to suppress them, try to push them under the carpet, especially, and I really try to feel them, and really let them just come up and through me, and don't attach to them as like maybe I had done before. Sometimes like certain things you can shock yourself. Sometimes when you do feel a little bit low and you feel your energy sapping, I just maybe do some qigong or some star jumps, or just really once you change your energy in your body, it makes such a difference. Sometimes if you just sit and you feel negative, then and your energy's low, then it just all comes together, and you don't get any better. So sometimes just shocking your system by just doing something really quickly to shock your body is a really good way of changing kind of negative thoughts and feelings quite straight away. But definitely through meditation and journaling and breath work, I think I'm able to really sort of, it may take half an hour, it may take 2 hours on the worst day, but I can kind of really get through that a little bit more now with the tool set I've built up.
Now, there may be people out there who are going through some struggles, through hard times. So just tell us a little bit about the kind of clients that you work with. Who would you ideally like to reach out to you for support, and they want support from you? So what kind of clients do you work with, James?
I really work with people who are struggling in life naturally, but they also have a vision that they want to get better. Obviously I'm not a psychotherapist, so I don't deal so much with unpacking the past, because that's obviously a specialized job from a therapy perspective. What I do is really look for someone who is struggling in life, maybe wants to, but they want to get better. They want to go to the next. They don't want to go and sit and take, a lot of people I speak to have been on antidepressants, Prozac for a very, very long periods of time, and they want to come off that. They want to move forward. They want to have a better job. They want to have a better life. They want better relationships. They want better health. They want better wealth. They want all these sort of things. And so with myself, I can really work with them to really build an identity of what their future self looks like. I'm all about, if you have a goal of where you want to be in the future, then you have a purpose to getting up in the morning, and that could be, right, I know it could be your health, you want to improve that, or it could be, you want to, you want to sort of, have a different career than what you have now. It's all about creating that identity and putting in daily habits and rituals around that. But also looking at, breaking, certain sort of negative thought patterns. I think, even if we've had a really good upbringing, a lot of the patterns we run as adults are going to come from our parents, really, and how they've reacted to certain situations, and we've kind of really replicated that. So sometimes you do see that through families, or people come to me and said, I just keep attracting like the same person or the same relationships, and it's really down to because they're running the same patterns. It's about actually just giving different people a different perspective on how to think, and really through that, a lot of it obviously does again start with meditation and journaling and kind of breath work. But I really try to work with people who want to move forward, who want to move forward in life. And have a vision of, or I help them to work through building a vision of their future.
And just share a little bit of, say, someone reaches out to you, what is the next steps, and then how do you go on to support them, James?
Yeah, so a lot of people do contact obviously through Instagram, myself, and that's probably my main port of call. I do have a guide on my Instagram which you can download for free. It's 13 pages of how to, which I've written personally around how to break negative emotions, and with that, I do have my own Facebook group as well, which people can join. I do a lot of video and email content through that as well. But usually, yes, it's through Instagram. People can reach out directly, and we set up a call, similar call. Just it can be just a phone call. Sometimes it can be a Zoom call, and we just sort of chat through about where they are, where they want to go, what they want to do, and really how I can help them. So it's just kind of like a discovery call, really, and then through that. Obviously, if it's something we're keen to do, I think I can help, then we progress to a little bit more of kind of one-to-one sessions over probably like a 6 to 8 week period, where we really try to nail down some real good habits and rituals and moving forward around what their future wants to look like.
And I know the power of just getting a few new rituals, just like brushing your teeth every day. You have to get new rituals like meditation, visualization, exercise, gratitude. Just little things can have such a big impact. I would encourage everyone out there who may resonate with James. Maybe you are going through dark times, through challenges, through stresses, and you want to change to a better future. You want to move forwards in a more positive light. Reach out to James on Instagram at James Peters Lifestyle. That's at James Peters Lifestyle. James Peters Lifestyle. James, thank you so much for coming on to the Brilliance Business TV show. I've really enjoyed having a conversation with you.
No, thanks again, Mark. Thank you for having me. I loved it. And yeah, anyone who resonated with anything I said can reach out to me, or hopefully it's helped a couple of people out there as well.
It certainly has. You have such a great story, and you're doing such great things, James. The pleasure's all been mine. Thank you, everyone, for watching Brilliance Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. Until next time, bye for now.